So whenever recording starts, we can start.
Yeah, I just
Okay, so recording has started. Awesome. All right. So let's take this first scenario where you are all going to a race course. Okay, so this is not a traditional race course. This is some jugaad kind of a race course, and you have two types of animals. Okay, which will run this race. There is some really fast. Sorry. So there is some really fast running horses, and there is some really fast running donkeys also. Okay, and you have to bet your money on either horses or donkeys. Okay, and the price could be quite lucrative. The returns could be lucrative. So let's go one by one. Priya, which animal would you bet your money on?
Horse, definitely.
Okay, Sagar.
Horse.
Okay, Preeti, tell me something different.
yeah, I would probably find out the details, right? If you're saying really fast horse and fast donkey, understand that before deciding.
Okay, thanks, Preeti. It was nice talking to you. You can disconnect the call.
No, otherwise, why are you saying fast donkey? You can't say donkey won't win the race.
Okay. I just wanted to kind of give as an example that in any market, right, in any bull market, we have companies which is like a horse and companies which is like a donkey. Now, in a good market, let's say when the market is like doing really well, the economy is kind of, in the uptrend, then what happens is sometimes you would realize that even donkeys will be running and then horses also will be running. Now, how do you differentiate a donkey from the horse? Obviously, so you will bet on horse, okay? No, not donkey. Even when you go to that horse, this one race course,
That
right?
is bad, Sarunan. So it is always better to give the donkey a chance.
Okay, all right. So I'll also tell you what kind of shares are donkeys. You can bet on that. No worries.
And I'm not going to do something foolish. Okay.
Okay. No, no, no. That's see. That is what we would have to identify now in the share market or in the shares. How do you identify a donkey from the horse? It is extremely important because in this kind of a bull market, right? I mean, currently we are all this what we are seeing for the last 1.5 months. It is we are going through like a bull market where almost any share that you see, everything will be running. Even some of the shares where you see a complete downward trend in this kind of market, even they will be running, right? So it is quite lucrative, and anybody can fall into a trap of getting going and buying shares which is maybe going high. And what you go and see in this business channels, people will say, oh, this is like a really amazing stock. ONGC, awesome. Yes Bank, oh super. Idea, Vodafone, awesome. But if you go and look at the chart, it will be like all last 3 4 5 years, it is like all consistently downward trend. Now it might be looking good for the next, maybe let's say few days, maybe weeks, or maybe month, but in a long term, what's going to happen is it is going to mess up with our happiness. You will eventually lose money, and that is something we should not do. And that's where it becomes very important to identify which shares are donkeys and which shares are horses, and put your bet only on horses, not on donkeys, right? So that's going to be our topic for today. With that, let me try to share my screen once again. Okay, so before we get into that, first thing I just wanted to quickly cover, maybe like we'll spend about 5 minutes on this, on portfolio. So what is a portfolio? Anyone? I know Sagar, he has
Yeah.
big
The number of
portfolios.
shares that we have already purchased, we will be able
Yes.
to see it there.
Yeah. So portfolio is nothing but it is the shares that you hold in your demat account. right? So let's say you have one demat account from Zerodha. I know somebody opened recently. So
And yet to upload pictures and documents.
oh, I was not talking about you, Preeti. I was talking about Priya.
Oh, okay.
But since you
Good.
brought
Yeah.
it up, I think you should just go ahead and upload your picture, Preeti. Okay.
Good. At least Priya did it.
Okay. All right. So
I've
see.
bought one share also.
Oh, good,
Wow.
good,
Wonderful.
good.
Just one share.
Congratulations. Yeah, yeah. That's how we all do it. In fact, I remember when I got my share, it was the name of the share is ITC. So I
Oh,
got it almost like 4.5 5 years back, and whatever price I got, I think the share is still going below that. It has never came up above that.
oh no.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I got only one share in that. I just left it. So portfolio, it is nothing but it is a group of shares or the number of shares that you buy, right? So number of shares, I don't mean to say that, let's say if I have ITC, if I have 20 shares of ITC, I wouldn't say my portfolio is 20. I have ITC, so my portfolio is one
Yeah.
ITC share, right?
Yeah.
So that is what it is. Now, how do you create or how do you make your portfolio? It is always you need to make sure whatever is the amount that you're ready to invest. Okay, so I'm going to take an example saying that 100 rupees is your investment amount that you have want to do it. So try to stick to this discipline because this is extremely important in making sure that you have a very balanced portfolio and the chances of risk you are mitigating it. Okay, so let me take an example, right? So what you do is you should have your portfolio. Okay, the example that I was about to say is, let's say ITC. So I had 100 rupees, and I what I do is I put all my 100 rupees in one company called ITC because my friend told me ITC is good and more people are smoking cigarettes, so the ITC sale is going to go up, and Ranveer Kapoor is coming or Ranveer Singh is coming in the bingo. What is that Teda Meda chips or something? It is which is again part of ITC, so the company is going to do good. But
Really?
yeah, that bingo, it is all part of
Yeah.
ITC only.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But okay.
No, and this is just an example. ITC, by the way, will never go up. Don't worry.
Uh,
Okay.
okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm
No,
buying.
with very limited knowledge, Sarvan, and sometimes your jokes, we don't know whether it is real or whether we should, go with.
Okay, okay, okay.
So, Priya, we
Okay,
have
so
long way. At least I have.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
okay, so
Got
ITC, I'm just saying, let's say my first of all, nobody will come and tell me this, but let's say somebody told me ITC is going to go up 100 rupees I had, and I put all my money in ITC. So what happens is next day it might go up and my overall returns might become 101 or 102. I'm like very happy, and then I forget about the share. Then what happens after that is slowly it starts going down, 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 and it reaches 80. So what it basically means is I have eroded close to 20% of my total investment because I didn't balance my share. I put all my, you know, egg into a single basket and that basket fell down. So what happened to my eggs? It broke. And the chances are this 80, it could further go down 75, 70, 60. So you just keep eroding your principal, whatever money that you had put. So this is extremely risky to do. That is, if you have a money that you want to invest, do not put all your money into a single basket or a single share. Okay. So okay, are you guys able to hear me?
No,
So
I
now
Yeah.
hear you.
Now, yes.
Okay.
there was some gap.
Yeah, yeah. So what we're doing is try to have this in, try to diversify your portfolio, and the maximum number of shares that you could possibly have in your portfolio should not be more than 20. Okay, so which means to say that you have 100 rupees each. Do not put more than 5 in each share. Get it?
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that? 5, not more than 5?
So what you're doing is, if you're going and investing it, do not invest more than 5% in a single share
Okay.
at any point in time. So do not break this rule, even though somebody might come and tell you that, this share is going to probably give you 3 times, 4 times returns in next 2, 3 months or even 1 year. Do not do that. Okay, so that is called as greed. So you never want to get into the greed, because what might happen is, if you start investing more, so let's say in one of the stock you go with 50, and remaining it's all, 2 and 1 and stuff like that, so the total becomes your 100. What might happen is, just imagine if this goes down, your entire portfolio will look bad. Okay, so try to make sure you stick to this. And why 20? Because before, the parameters that I'm going to talk about is, before you go and invest in a share, you need to do some study about that share. You need to know about the business of the company that you're investing in, right? I mean, before you go and buy a car, obviously you'll do a lot of research, and you'll compare that with other models. Then you'll check for what are you getting at a discount price. You'll go and negotiate with the, the whatever the company, or the showroom, and only then you would be buying, right? So similarly, you should not assume that, okay, whatever shares I'll buy, it'll always go up. If it goes up, good. But what if it goes down? You need to have, as a program managers, we need to be having our mitigation plans good and well in place. So that's where always try to make sure you have a well diversified portfolio, and try to stick to rule number one. Wait, by the way, rule number one. How many of you know Warren Buffett? Heard about Warren Buffett?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Sarvana.
Yeah. Okay. So Warren Buffett, you might want to just do some research on Warren Buffett, right? So Warren Buffett is one of the, or worldwide, he's considered like, uh, the biggest guru in stock investment. Okay. So he's like the, there are multiple books that is written by him, and most of the people who write books now, they refer to Warren Buffett. So he's like, he's still alive, and he's like the guru of stock market. Okay, and all he says is rule. He only says 2 rules. First rule is, the money that you are putting in, make sure you do not lose your money. Whatever you're putting in, this 100 rupees that you're putting in, make sure you do not lose this money. Okay. And rule number 2, any guesses?
Don't break the rule number one.
Exactly. Don't break rule number 1. That's the rule number 2. Okay. So that is like the primary overarching rule, but here we will talk about few different rules. Okay. So rule 1 here is, um, max of 20 stocks in portfolio. Okay. Any questions on this? Clear? Okay, cool. So
Yeah, clear.
this is the first part. Now the second part is, how do you divide your portfolio? What kind of companies that you would you go and start looking at? So what you need to do is, you are going to be eventually coming up with 20 stocks. Can go up to 23, let's say max 25, probably not more than that. Okay, so 20, try to stick to it, but sometimes, you'll really get some good stock which you'll not be able to, let go. Then try to stick to 25, not more than that. That is like limit. Okay, so we'll go with 20 for now. Okay, but I'm saying you still have a buffer of 5 more in a worst case scenario, which we'll not recommend. So Next is you try to divide your entire portfolio into three parts. So you have 100% of your portfolio. So what you do is you make 60% as section 1, section 2 would be 30%, section 3 will be 10%. Yeah. By that what I mean is 60% of your shares, that is close to 12 shares, right? That's 60%, correct? Oops, wait. 60% of your shares as one group, and then 30% of the shares as another group. And then 10% of your shares as the last group. Okay. So what is the sections? So what I'm saying is 60% of your shares, you should try to look for those companies which should give you stability to your portfolio. Okay, I'll come to that in a minute. And then 30% of your shares would be those companies which will give you fast growth. Okay, and 10% of the companies, these are like, how do we say, these are like your really small cap slash
Amount of risk.
risky. These are basically, uh, there's a saying in Tamil, but I wouldn't say that. Uh, if it comes, it'll be like really coming in bulk, and you'll actually make a lot of profit in a very short span of time. But even in worst case scenario, if it goes away, that's okay. Even then, it will not cause too much of a damage to your portfolio. So even here, while we are looking at a risky thing, we will try to look for only those companies which are fundamentally good, where the chances of downside is less, but there will be chances. So we'll try to go with some of those stocks as well. But that's where it should be only 10% and not more than that. 10% of your overall portfolio should be those kind of companies, and 30% in fast growth and 60% in stability companies which give you that solid, uh, the it'll give you slow growth, but it will give you really good stability. Okay, clear how you have to manage your portfolio? Then we'll go into each of these things. Any questions so far? Looks good. Okay, cool. Right. So again, these are all related to the discipline and how we have to create our portfolio, because generally what happens is sometimes that rush, we will always get that feeling that oh, this stock yesterday it went up by 10% or 20%, it went up, it hit the circuit is till what max level it can go for a day. If it reaches there, then it gets, just it lies over there. So next day there will be a lot of news on the channels and people will be talking about it, and then what we will do is chalo, we'll go and get there, we'll also join the bandwagon. And what happens immediately after we buy, it starts coming down. Right? So we should be very comfortable, we should be very clear on what kind of shares and stocks we are buying, and when we buy it. So those are the things that we will talk as part of this, right? So first let's get to the stability. Now I'm going to slowly get into the parameters as well from here. I said there are about 13-14 parameters. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the business model. Why this is rule number one? Because however good a company could be, the first driving factor for somebody to go and invest is how good is this company's business, because you are not investing your money in a share, you are investing your money in that business of the company. So you need to be 100%, 200% really sure and confident and comfortable that this business is not something which will just go away overnight, or probably not go away after maybe 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, right? So these are the business which will be there for quite some time. Okay. So we call these things as moat, MOAT. Moat, it is basically nothing but what does that company do to ensure year over year it is able to protect its revenue, or it's able to protect its profit. So there should be something very unique that a company would be doing which makes it sustain in the market, so that its competitors don't come and knock them away, so that they are able to be in the market for many years. Okay. So what happened in the example of let's say Kodak? Do you guys remember Kodak? Have you heard about Kodak?
Yeah, Kodak, right?
Yeah.
Kodak Mahen. No, this
No, not
is
No,
Kodak.
that is Kotak.
Kodak. Oh, yeah,
Camera
it's Kodak Mahen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
roll.
So this Kodak is a camera. Yeah, yeah, I know.
camera. Yeah.
Mm.
So Kodak, they were one of the biggest, um, producers of camera, the rolls and all that, right? So do you know what is the share price of Kodak now?
Oh, do they still exist? I thought they were no longer.
Exactly. So they are bankrupt. Their shares completely got wiped out, and they don't even exist now. That's the part. Okay. So Sagar, you're not going to be happy about this, but Nokia, right? So
Yeah,
Nokia, they were, I mean, at least when I got my first phone, it was Nokia. That Nokia 3310, 3330. Those were like, no matter how many times it falls down, you throw, or by mistake it falls, nothing will happen. It will just get completely, battery will come out, this, that, but you can always put it back and everything is okay. Works normal, right? But where is Nokia today in the market? It got really hit by some of their competitors, right? So when we are trying to look at business model, we need to look at companies whose business model is really strong, who can sustain, and who will be able to make sure that they will be there not just today but for many years to come. So have you guys heard about Asian Paints?
Yeah,
yes,
Okay. So what have you heard about Asian Paints? One of you?
that's a good brand name. I don't know
the
about it.
Okay.
biggest color company, number one in India in terms of
Um,
their supply chain. Lo-
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So Asian Paints in s- let's say in the 80s and the 90s itself, early 80s, what they did is they they wanted to do something very different wherein they can be there in the market for many years to come. So what they did, they invested a lot of money in coming up with a supercomputers. Okay. So can we even think about a paint company going and investing in technology? So what they did, so paint, generally what happens, you create or you manufacture paint, at least the raw the version of the paints and materials in the factories, and then you distribute it, correct? You distribute it to all your first it goes to the major distributors, and then they in turn what they'll do is they'll go to the respective shops in their areas, and they will kind of distribute it over there, but you'll be having a major distributor. So what these guys Asian Paints did is they invested money in a supercomputer to predict, and they started gathering data in terms of each area, how much unit of stocks it is getting purchased, or how much unit is getting consumed. And slowly they started getting data so much that eventually they were able to predict how much stocks or how much share they would have to or basically how much paint they would have to distribute to each of the shops, right? So what they started doing is, with this process they completely got rid of their the middleman. So they created their own distributor. So all the distributors of Asian Paints are their own folks of Asian Paints. And what they do is based on the data, on the prediction, they deliver uh, close to about, they make about 2.5 lakh to 3 lakh deliveries per day, Asian Paints, because of all the data and the technology that they have created. Now their nearest counterpart or their peer is Berger Paint. You heard about Berger Paints, right?
Yeah.
Berger Paint, and then there was one more paint which
Yeah.
comes in this
Arola.
Nerolac, and there is one more
Nippon.
Asco, Nippon. So in terms of
Nippon.
the actual quality in India right now, Nippon, in terms of the quality, that they are the number one. But still, Asian Paints, they sell maximum number of things. The reason is they basically attracted this painters, and they made sure that the distributors, they have this solid tie up with each of the shops that they have. And the nearest competitor, which is Berger Paint, they are able to deliver only about 40 to 50,000 deliveries per day, and Asian Paints is able to do 1.5 to 2 lakhs per day, or sorry, 2.5 to 3 lakhs per day. So that is the kind of uh, business which Asian Paints created for itself. And now what I'm going to do is, let me take you to, okay, I'll take you to, you guys can also start using this application called screener.com, screener.in.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's go to Asian Paints. So you see here, this is somewhere in January 2006. 2006 onwards, you see any downward trend in Asian Paints?
Oh, no, it's close to
No.
3,000 now. No
Exactly.
downward trend. Mm.
So when it started, it was around 55 rupees, or again, it was there many years before, but it, all this values, it started coming into the online data only from 2005 onwards. But if you see here, almost from 39 rupees onwards, it has gone up by almost 100x.
Mhm.
Continuously it is going up. Okay, so this is a classic example of stability. You get it? Business model you need to look for. And companies like Asian Paints, then companies like so okay, any carpenter, while they are doing the woodwork, which adhesive do they use?
Fevicol.
Ready-made.
Fevicol. Yes, exactly. So this one, today, tomorrow, our kids, their future generation, Fevicol is going to be there. It's not going to go anywhere else. And now
Mm.
these days, Pidilite is the company which creates or which manufactures Fevicol, right? So now Pidilite, they also started getting into one more vertical of business, which is called as, this, what do you call that? I mean, when it rains, to make sure that water doesn't seep in, there is that technology for that. So these days,
Fix
uh,
it.
fix it exactly. So those kind of things, Amitabh Bachchan comes, he gives, for fix it. So
Yeah.
that is also, one really good sector or one vertical which Pidilite has gone into, and that has also now started to give them good profits, right? So now let's see Pidilite. I'm just going to say Max. Do you see any difference between Pidilite and Asian Paints?
No.
Almost the same. Except the
Continuously
value. Yes.
it goes up. All we need to do is buy the share and forget that we bought the share. And what it will do is it will just continuously keep giving you returns. But we need to give it time, right?
Yeah, it's the slow, steady growth. That's what, right?
No,
I
see,
mean,
when
it's
you
not like
say slow,
it's not a rapid change, but slowly, steadily increasing.
Tell me something. Do you know what is the interest rate of the bank FD? I know we spoke about it last time.
6.5,
Now 5 point something.
maybe less than that.
6. Okay, let's say 6.5. Let's say 7 also, 7%. So if you are, let's say, investing some amount, let's say 1,000 rupees. For 1,000 rupees to become uh, 2,000 rupees, do you know how much time it will take, Preeti?
And FD, okay.
FD, yeah. For that money to almost double, how many years it would take? It's simple, right? You're
Yeah,
putting 1,000
yeah.
and next
Simple.
year it is getting 1,007, then 7% again on this. So if you do the math,
Oh,
it will take you close to about, I don't know, some 35, 40 years maybe for you to get this 1,000 to become 2,000.
my God.
Now let's look at Pidilite, since you said slow and steady growth. So where are
Yeah,
we?
but you're looking at 2006, which is 43. I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't calculate that, but and now it shows somewhere around 2000, right?
yeah.
2021.
So we are almost at 2,134 today.
2000.
2,134, which is almost 100
15,
times.
15 years. Yeah.
100 times in 15 years, correct? So that is like a huge jump.
Mhm.
So if you had invested, let's say 1 lakh, then you're talking about close to 1 crore now, right? 100 times.
Yeah,
And
good.
this one, almost every 2 to 3 years, it will double your money that you're having. And I don't think there is any FD or anything else which would give, even property for that matter, gold. I don't think there is any other vehicle that will take you here.
Yeah.
But Fevicol will. Okay.
Suspected.
Then yeah, so similarly you have quite a few other, stability examples. I'm just saying, again, these are, I'm not saying that go and buy immediately these things. Do your studies and then look at it. Example, Asian Paints. So if you go to any of these college going kids, and or even for that matter, youth office goers, male, okay, sometimes even females, if you go and ask them that, do you want to buy a small car, let's say a Maruti 800 or Alto 800, or do you want to go for a two-wheeler, what would their response be? Do you want to go for a car which is like a budget car, or do you want to go for a proper two-wheeler? What do
Two-wheeler,
two-wheeler? And any specific brand, Sagar, two-wheeler these days?
Honda, TVS, or Bullet,
Royal Enfield.
Royal Enfield.
Royal Enfield, right? I mean, that is 80% of the kids when a survey was done. 80% of the youngsters, they actually said Royal Enfield. So these days, that Bullet, the Royal Enfield, that craze, that brand, it's become so much that people are just ready to pay premium for those kind of things. And which company manufactures Royal Enfield? Any idea?
German.
Eicher Motors.
Eicher Motors. Yeah.
Eicher Motors, they're also into manufacturing of trucks. Again, solid, real, good quality trucks, but their maximum sale comes from Royal Enfield two-wheeler. So this is again like a classic example, and there are few companies which will probably not go away really soon. Currently, they hold this monopoly. For example, if you have to go for railways tickets and buy, which side do you go to?
IRCTC.
IRCTC. Exactly. So IRCTC is one which would uh, probably really provide you that stability and growth. Um, and slightly, maybe this is one business. I'm not sure if you guys are too much aware, but in the tire business, generally, uh, normally, I mean, when we say tire, you'll know about MRF, you'll know about maybe Apollo, Seat,
Great.
JK tires and all that stuff, right? So there is in the tire business, there is one player who provides extremely, this kind of a very niche kind of tires, which they provide only for the off-road tires. When I say off-road, they make, for all this, uh, this JCB and all, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm.
crane,
Heavy
JCB,
machines.
heavy machines, tractors,
Yeah.
and then even for some of the you would have seen those balloon tires, they call it. I mean, in some of the vehicles you would see that radial tires, especially the jeeps and all, right? I mean, so all
Mm-hmm.
these funky dudes will be riding. The tires will be like very unique. It will be very different, especially the Sardars. You will see in some of the movies and all. So they manufacture this. Not only they make it for India, but they are probably the number one exporters to the across the world, and they manufacture at a cost which none of the other companies across the world would be able to match it. So name of the company, I mean, you might want to make a note of this. Name of the company is called Balkrishna Industries. Balkrishna.
Okay. Balkrishna Industry.
Yeah, Balkrishna Industries. So they make these things. Now what they started doing is they were probably number one in that off-road, but they didn't stop there. What they said is, oh, we still have opportunity to further reduce the cost. So what they did is, for manufacturing of any tires, you need to procure something called as carbon black, right? So you might have heard about this carbon black. So that is used in the tire manufacturing. Now these companies, what they did is, this Balakrishna industry, is said it is becoming bit expensive and we are dependent on somebody else who is creating this carbon black. So what we will do is, we would have like a backward integration, and we will create our own carbon black in-house. So they created their own setup. They invested some of the money from the profit, whatever they are generating, into this uh, company to make carbon black. Now what happened is, after they completed it, their cost has further gone down, which means to say their sales will go up, which means to say their profit also will go up. So when the profit goes up, then the shareholders also will get more, right? Share price goes up. So these are the kind of companies that you should study and make sure you have such things in your portfolio, and they will be able to give you good returns consistently. So now let's quickly look at Balkrishna Industry. You see over here. So there was a period when it was kind of going down a bit. And why was it going down? Because whatever profit that they got, that capital, I mean, whatever profit they got, they were trying to put that in the capex, capital expenditure, to create more factory, that is in-house factory, to create carbon black. And what happened after they finished it, you see?
Mm.
So we have to study before we start, investing. So see, this company sells its tire in 160 plus countries. So there is no other company which provides this. So they are almost like unbeatable. And the nearest competitor in China, uh, Balakrishna Industries, provides the tires almost at 50% price of the Chinese companies.
Oh.
So that's how efficient, or that's how good this company is. So we need to look out for uh, business model which will not go away immediately, which is going to be sustaining, and uh, which will make sure that that moat that I was talking about, right? Whatever revenue that it generate, it is able to create that uh, uniqueness about their company. Hawkins example, uh, 2 minutes noodles. I
Right.
know the
Mm-hmm.
Nestle, right? So these are the kind of companies. And then when it comes to diamonds and that brand, which one comes to your mind immediately? Diamonds, and then watches,
Tanishq.
which
Titan.
Tanishq, Titan, absolutely. So these are the companies. Just
But Simon, how do you figure out these? For
look
example,
at this.
validation industries, right? We
Mhm.
don't even know about, I mean, not everybody would have heard about it. How would you even shortlist them?
I will tell you using this same. That's why I got you guys to screener. Okay, so first, uh, I will tell you how do we shortlist it. What are the different parameters and how to shortlist. In this itself, I'll tell you. So
Okay.
you have something called screens over here. You go here and you can write your own query and you can create your own screen to look out for shortlisting companies. And there are already multiple things. I'll tell you those things
Yeah,
later.
sure.
Okay. So Titan again, you see here, Max continuously going.
Oh,
This was during the COVID time. Obviously, it went down. Nobody will be going and buying jewels during the COVID downtime, but now they have again started coming up, right? So that's what you have to focus. Those are the kind of companies that you should try and put it in your this area, that stability zone. So in the example itself, we now saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Titan 6. So all you need to do is just have 12 such solid companies, Divis Labs or what
sorry,
are the other ones? Uh-huh. Sorry,
what was the last thing you said?
Divis Lab, Divis Labs. So Divis Labs, they are the manufacturer of this. We call APIs, right? All the raw materials that is required to manufacture medicines, pharmaceutical. So Divis Lab is one of the pioneer in that. So continuously, this company has been, for example, consistently they keep going up, up, up. So you can. What I'm saying is it's not difficult to get 12 such shares for your portfolio, which will give you this kind of a stability and which will even when the market is down, right? Uh, these are the kind of horses that will not make your portfolio look bad. Or these are the kind of companies which will not be so much volatile just because some bad news came in. They will not kind of completely ruin your portfolio. So you just buy it, leave it for long term.
Mm.
Okay.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
So, whatever shares we saw so far, these five shares, maybe it started with a smaller amount, but right now, all these shares are somewhere around 2 to 3K.
Yep.
Right. Now, if I go and invest in on these shares, because it's going in upward trend,
Mhm.
it might max go for some 20-30 bucks or some 200-300 bucks, or do you think again it might jump to some 50 or 60%? Or we should on the whole start seeing like these kind of stability companies where you go for some smaller amount, somewhere around close to 1,000 rupees, and see and buy those kind of shares. What
Okay.
is your
Yeah. So if we have to buy these kind of companies,
mm,
if you are waiting for these companies to come at 1,000 rupees or less
mm,
than that, you'll never get these companies,
correct? So what if
right?
I go and buy it when they are at some 3,000?
Mhm.
Do you think it will go at least for another 1,000? I mean, how do I judge that?
Okay. So again, I mean, in share market, there is nothing called as a guarantee, right? So
Right.
all we have to do is we need to take a very calculated bet with some facts. So one of the facts here is again, I mean, we didn't even get into the other details, which we will get into, but just by looking at the chart.
Mm,
Okay, so this chart, what is today? This is okay. Let's say January 2014.
mm.
Can you just keep the price in your mind? I'll
Okay,
okay. It's about 208 rupees. Okay,
correct, correct.
so
That is
2014, when you are investing, obviously at that time we would have felt, oh my god, it is 208 rupees. Should we even buy it? So people who went ahead and got it, That 200 became in 2015, that became 526,
Yeah. Mm.
right? So 2015, let's say 2014, you got it, Priya, at 208.
Yeah.
Now, Preeti, she's coming at 2015, in 2015, and she's looking at the price and saying, Priya got it at 208. Now it's already 511. I think I missed the bus.
Mm.
So what should I do? And then she says, okay, let me just buy some quantity of it, and she'll still go ahead and buy it. She got it at 511. And 2016, then 2000, almost 511, 2000, let's say around 2018.
Mm.
Okay, that's like in 3 years, the
Mm.
money almost kind of doubled, close to about 90%. So had
Mm.
she not taken the risk here, she would not have seen this money almost double. Now
Mm.
here, let's say Sagar comes in and he says, okay, I think I've totally missed the bus. Priya got it quite early and Preeti also got it quite early. I mean, I'm buying at 918. What's going to happen? So then he makes up his mind and says, okay, let me buy it 918 in 2018. See what happens.
Huh. True. 2000, 1947, right?
So 2020, it is almost 2347, almost 1.5
Mm.
times.
Mm.
And from there, it is now still going up, which means to say there are certain parameters that you need to look at and then take a call whether we should buy this company or not buy. Okay, so before I go to those parameters, are you guys clear on this part?
Yeah.
Portfolio rule number 1 and portfolio rule number 2 was 3 sections. Okay, 60, 30, and 10. And first parameter that we spoke about was business model. So we should, before you buy anything, make sure you understand the business model inside out. So the question that you need to ask yourself is, if you had an option, hypothetically speaking, right? If you have an option that all your investment, if you have to put in some company, do you have that confidence in that company? Yes or no? Even if it is slight no, then you should not invest in that company. Okay. So you should be like totally, don't go with what other people say. You should be totally convinced that even if I have to put my entire uh, savings or whatever I have, whatever investment that I have, let's say my property, you should never do that. But I'm saying, if you have to put that in this company, would you do it? Yes, then only you should invest it. Okay. So now let's go to the question which Priya brought up, saying, how would I know whether we should get to this or should we invest in this stock or not? Now, for that, there is something called as uh, top line. So what is top line of a company? So for that, what you should do is go to Screener. I'll go to Asian Paints itself as an example. You can take any of the example that I just gave, but let's say I go to Asian Paints in Screener. Now we are going to be looking at what is a top line and what is a bottom line of the company. So top line, it is nothing but how much of sales am I making year over year? Is my sales increasing and is it constant, or 1 year I'm making some sales amount and 1 year it is, so what is sales? Whatever I'm manufacturing, am I able to sell those things, right? So that is sales. So where do I see that? So in the top section, you have multiple options, this thing, right? In the menu, click on profit and loss. Okay. Go to Screener and search for that company and then go to profit and loss. So in the first line, you will see sales. You're able to see here.
Yeah.
Okay. So sales, let's start from 2010. So the sales was somewhere around 6,400, then it became 7,4, 9,200, 10,000 something, 12,000, 13,000. So we see that there is a gradual increase in sales year over year. And then March 14,000, 2016, 2017 15,000, or this is by the way in crores, okay?
Oh, okay.
16,825 crores in 2018, 2019, and then March 2020 and March 2021. Now, based on what you just saw here, would you be able to predict what's going to happen in March 2022? We can take that educated guess, right? Saying that, okay, sales is increasing year over year by at least 1,000 rupees, meaning in this, but it is basically 1,000 crore it is increasing. Consistently, you see here, COVID, non-COVID, Asian Paints doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised. Even during that time, they seem to have continued
Yes.
with profit.
That's the beauty of certain
Every
companies.
year it is, and
Exactly.
that even that exactly 1,000 crores or 1,000 they are increasing.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it is
some,
a gradual trend. It's a
yes.
good
So,
trend. Six,
yeah.
7, 9.
So some companies, I mean, some year, for example, from March 2017 to 18, it went up by almost 1,800 change. So from here, it almost went up by 2,400 change, and so on and so forth. So give or take, but what we are saying is there is a upward trend. Consistently, it is going. Agree? So
Yes.
Yes.
rule that we have to look at is look at the top line. Top line is what? It is the sales increase. Is it increasing year over year? Very important. Okay. So clear on top line, right? Now let's look at
Yeah.
bottom line. So we know, okay, sales, it is top line. What is bottom line? Bottom line is basically you're selling, it's all fine, but how much profit are we getting year over year? So year over year, what you're seeing is these are the profit, net profit. That is 836 crores, 843, 989, 1100, blah, blah, blah. And then you see this year, 2021, it made profit almost 3,139 crores. This is profit. Clear?
Yeah.
So this is your profit month, I mean, year over year. And this is also, I'm sorry, this one. And this is also consistently going up steadily. So this is giving you that confidence that, okay, it's probably not going to at least go down from here, looking at the history.
Yeah, true.
Okay. So that is your bottom line, which is your net profit. So now you know where to go and see these things, right? Top line and bottom line. You can see that in the profit and loss section for that company. And we are seeing in the consolidated figure. The same thing, you can also go to the company's financial report and start looking at it year over year. But screener, it will give you everything in a single place. So it becomes easy for you to compare. Okay. Now, um, one more aspect or one more important uh, parameter that you need to check is what are the margins. So margins, it is nothing but okay. Asian Paints, what it is supposed to do, it is supposed to sell paints, distribute paints, and what are the operations it is doing? It is operations are basically it is manufacturing the paint and basically selling it to the shops. So that is basically your operations. So we need to look at how much money or what are the how much of profit Asian Paints is basically making from just the operations part. Because the reason why we say this is there are certain other incomes also a company would be generating. Now, other incomes could be, from the previous, uh, I don't know, from let's say from the previous profit and all, they might have created some, let's say, invested the money somewhere, So even companies, they invest their money in mutual funds, or they buy other shares and all, and they'll get the dividends and returns and all that from those things. So we should not, or they'll have, some companies will have just estates, property estates, the rents will be coming from there. So those things will be coming in a section called as other income, but we are not interested in looking at this now. I mean, overall profit, we will look at all these things, but here for margin, we are looking at just from their operations work, whatever they are doing, how much of money are they generating. So that is called as operating profit. What is, how much are they selling, what was their expense, and what is their overall operating profit, right? So we have a margin which is called as operating profit margin. How much money, or what is the margin that a company is generating purely from their operations. So this is a very important aspect, because the growth of the company purely depends on this. Because we will see that in some companies, the operation margin will be less, but the net profit will start showing slightly higher, because they might get money from other income. Okay. So let's take an example that Asian Paints, for some reason, they are not doing so well in selling their paint, which is their primary business, but they are getting more money from their, the rent of properties, or maybe from the the tea estate or coffee estate, uh, or the mutual funds that they have invested. They are getting returns from there, and that money is showing up here. We are not interested in that. If you see any companies like that, we should stay away from those things. That's where we will be very interested to look at how much this is going to give us operating profit margin. So as a rule of thumb, any companies which is having an operating margin year over year above 15 to 20%, then those companies are considered good. Okay. So here, if you see, it is 19, 18, 16, 17, 16, 16, 19, 20. Finally, it's around 22%. Okay. So the operating profit margin. So just look out for this percentage over here, OPM percentage. Clear?
Yes.
Third one is this margin.
So, Saranjan, we don't need to look at that operating profit, but more focus on the OPM, right?
Yes. Focus more on this one. Focus more on the operating profit margin percentage, not on the actual value over here.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. We are at 3:30. Do you guys have another 10-15 minutes, or should we wind up?
Yeah, I'm fine to continue.
Okay. Sagar, how about you?
Yeah. Okay. Please.
Okay. Good. All right. So the next one that we have to look at is how much debt is this company having? Okay. So debt is loan. How much of the shop is running with loan? Now, having a loan is not necessarily a bad thing, but let's look over here. Last time, you remember we spoke about reserves. So reserves is nothing but it is your cash. How much of cash are we handing? Is this company having right now? It is a cash reserve. Okay, so this company is having around 12,710 crores as cash reserve. It's just sitting on this cash. And debt is 1,093 crores. Okay, so as a rule of thumb, what we have to look at is if the debt of a company is, you need to compare with reserves, debt to reserve. So right now, debt is 1,093 and reserves is so much 12,710. So debt is like a very small piece of the reserve. But if debt is like 50% or more of reserves, then you have to be a bit careful and you have to be a bit cautious about that company. It's having more debt, but now it is like almost minuscule. considering the reserves. You guys clear with this debt?
Yeah, Sarman. I think we have already discussed this debt and reserves once.
Reserves.
Debt actually,
Yeah.
and Saran, that time
So-
we used some other, I don't remember now whether it was sticker or some other.
Yeah, that was Phenology ticker. But do one thing. I mean, there are multiple things that are available. You have Phenology ticker, you have Screener, but use Screener. I'll tell you because maybe not today's session, but in the future session, once you understand these parameters, you know, okay, portfolio you need to create like this. You know the rules, and these are the parameters. Once you understand this, then you can put these parameters as a query and search for only those companies which meets your
Requirement. Okay.
requirements. Exactly, it's like a SQL or PL SQL query. You just write it very simple, and it will give you a list of shares that meets your criteria.
Okay.
Okay, so clear, right, on debt and reserve?
Yeah.
Debt should not be more than 50%. So there are multiple other ratios. I mean, I don't want to bring those things now. You might get confused. So there's debt to what we just saw. Yeah, we just saw debt to reserve. There is debt to equity, debt to EBITDA, debt to capital, and all that. Don't worry. I think this should be good enough for you. At least with this, we know how not to pick up a share which is donkey. Okay. Preeti, you're okay, right? I know you have soft corner to donkey, but still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like how the tortoise won the race. I'm reminded of that story.
Yeah. So if you have too much of money that you want to do some experiment, only then you go ahead and do exact opposite of these things.
No, I learned my lesson. Thank you, Saran, not to give the a chance.
Okay. All right. Now let's look at one more parameter called as pledging. So pledging, you know what is pledging, right? Pledging is uh, let's say if I need money, then what I'll do is I'll take my some document. Maybe it could be a property document. I'll go to a bank and I'll pledge it to get some money. Similarly, the promoters of the company, they can pledge a company share. So generally, the promoters of the company, they'll be having a big chunk of their own, let's say, shares. They'll be having a company share with them, big chunk. And what we should do is we should always keep a watch out on whether these promoters, are they pledging it or are they buying more. Ideally, when you come and see this pledged percentage, the promoters, this should be at 0%. So Asian Paints owners, they have pledged it for 9.44 percentage. So now let's go to one more. I'll just to give you more details, Phenology ticker.
So promoters are basically the main the key shareholders or the
Yeah,
owners.
basically the owners of the company.
Okay.
Okay, so the promoters, they are holding this much percentage. So you can also see this here, pledging. But if you want to see for past few years what has been the pattern, you can go to Phenology ticker. But this should be good enough, but I'm just giving you guys more context here. Okay. In Phenology ticker, which also gives all details about a company, you know that this particular company, Pidilite, has promoter 70, foreign investors, they have 11.8. Then domestic, these are the institutional investors, the big players, right? So they have 7.5. And then public is Aam Aadmi like you, me. We have about 10.37%. So this
What
is
is
the
FII, Saranam? Sorry, FII. What is that?
foreign institutional investors, all these
Oh.
big players, all these mutual funds and all these companies, right? Uh, like
Yeah.
Fidelities and all this big players, Morgan Stanley's and
Okay.
BlackRock. So they would come and do the investment. So they hold about 11.88% of this company. And the promoters or the owners, they hold 70.716. So here what it shows. So March, it was 69. And then they further increased the portfolio. I mean, they further increased the share, which means to say the promoters are more confident about this company. They know obviously something which we do not know, right? As a promoter, they know this company is going to do even better. So what they'll do is they'll go and buy more of their own shares. Whenever promoters, so this becomes an event or this becomes a big news. If you look at the news channels, Z Business, CNBC, Avaz, and all this thing, so there will be a separate topic where they talk about this particular promoter has bought more sales, more shares of that company. So that day, that company price will still go higher. People will start buying more. They will be like, oh, okay, promoter himself has got, so let us also go and buy more. So that's a very good news for the company. Okay. So promoter thing and pledging, it should ideally be close to none. So just because maybe a promoter would pledge a very small percentage of their share doesn't mean the company will become bad. For example, here in the case of Asian Paints, they have pledged 9%. If it was any other company and then we see 9% over here, so that will be an indication that we should stay away from that company. But it is Asian Paints here. So that's where we need to look things at holistically, not just go with one parameter, just like our operating model metrics. Okay. Clear on pledging?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then parameter number 7. Okay. Ratios. So there are 3 key ratios over here. One is ROE, one is ROCE, and other is ROIC. Okay, first let's look at ROE, which is return on equity. So what is equity? Equity is basically these are the equity is nothing but shares, right? So whatever shareholders would have invested in the company, so that is called as the equity amount or the equity. So this ratio, it gives for the money that you have invested, how much returns are you getting? That is from the shares. The money that is coming from shares, of that, how much of returns are we getting? So a company gets or company would be able to run its operation or company will be able to run by 2 key things. One is equity, which is shares, how much of share as a promoter I am putting and how much of share I'm getting from people like you and me, right? Shareholders. So that is all called equity. And we also go and borrow from banks or borrow from financial institutions to run the company. So those things are debt. You get it? Borrowing whatever we do, right? So company will be running by that. But here return on equity, it's basically just purely from on the money that shareholders have invested and whatever money that I have put in my from my side as a promoter, that's also equity. It's my share, right? So how much percentage of return? So this is a very, very important aspect that you need to look at in a company. ROE. What is the return that we are getting? You see over here, ROE is 27.3. Return on equity.
So is this the same as dividend, Sarunan, or is that totally a different?
No, no,
I
no.
mean,
Dividend is different. I'll come to that later. Don't confuse about dividend. Um,
so then what do we mean by saying return on the money that we have invested in the equity or the shares if it is not?
okay. All right. So return on so let's say I'm going to okay, I'll take this example. I'll just give you a working, very simple example. Let's say I'm going to start one samosa shop. Okay. Oops. I'm going to start one samosa shop, and I have 100 rupees from in my pocket. But I need probably about 400 rupees to basically run the shop and do the operations. Okay. So my share is 100 rupees. So what I would do is I will reach out to you guys and say that you guys become my be shareholders or partners, and I would need 100 rupees from each of you. Okay. So I get 100 from Priya, 100 from you, Preeti, and then 100 from Sagar. So I get 300 rupees from three of you. And I have my own 100 rupees. So total is 400. And how many shareholders do we have? Four. Clear so far on this?
Yeah.
Each of us are putting 100 rupees each. So what I do is, so just to make this things quite simple, I'll take 250 from each and make this 1000. Okay. Ease of calculation. So,
100.
sorry.
That'll be 100.
No, I'm taking 250 rupees from, I have 250, and
Okay.
then I take 250 from Priya, 250 from you,
Yeah.
Preeti, and then 250 from Sagar, right? So all of us together, we have 1000 rupees, and I'm able to run my samosa shop. And let's say company is doing quite well, and in the first quarter, or let's say I'm getting some good returns. I'm getting 100 rupees. So profit I'm making. Okay. So I'm making 100 rupees profit. Now, this 100 rupees profit, I would have to split it four ways because there are four shareholders, correct?
Yeah.
And each of you would be getting 25 rupees or 25 max. So return on equity for this samosa shop is 25%. Clear?
Okay. So what is the dividend then?
Dividend, it is like, let's say my company is making more money, and doesn't always necessarily mean that whatever profit that I'm getting from the company, I will always give it as like this as a return of on equity. So there are certain amount of money that company will withhold for their future development activities like their capital, and then they'll hold some money, and what they will do is they'll take a call and say, I will give some amount of this profit to all my stakeholders as dividend. So that money they will share. So it is not that all profit will be given to shareholders as their dividend. No, that doesn't happen like that. So only part of it, and that too not all the companies would give. Some companies will not even give dividend. Only certain companies will give some portion of their profit which they are generating in a quarter or maybe in a year to their shareholders as dividend, but some small percentage of it. Okay.
So even in this case, and Saranand, we can say the return of equity is 25%, but not necessarily that each one of us would actually get that dividend of 25.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
So return on equity is 25%. That's what. That doesn't mean we are going to get this.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So that is something which we have to keep a very close watch on what is the return on equity. It is 27.3%. Okay. So that is one very important ratio that you have to keep in mind. Uh, and return on capital employed. Okay. So return on capital employed, that is ROCE. Okay, I'm not going to talk about this one now. Okay, so return on capital employed is, you can think about this as, let's say there is again a samosa shop and it is making about, it's the cost of the shop. Okay, let's say we are investing some X amount of money or X amount of rupees in that shop, and this company is getting return of close to about 50 rupees, let's say. And of that 50 rupee return, this company, what it does is it takes only 10 rupees aside, and the remaining 40 rupees, it says, I want to put it back to the company for the operations, for the growth of the company or growth of the shop. So 40 rupees will be put back to the same company to make sure uh, it is able to expand, or it is able to do something more scale, right? So that some part of the profit is put back to the company itself. So that is called as return on capital employed. You're not taking all the profit and then aram say enjoying and sharing it to the shareholders, but you are investing it back on the company itself. Okay, so that is another very important uh, point that you have to keep in mind. So Asian Paints ROCE is 34.8%.
And is this something which the promoters would take a call and decide on? Or?
Yes, yes. The board and the promoters. So promoter cannot take a call everything on their own. Since everything is a public company, there will be a board of directors will be taking a call with inputs from promoters. Okay. So as a rule of thumb, what we should look out for companies is for a company to be like really good, we should look at companies whose ROE and ROC is at least 20% or more. Year over year. So there are, if you go into the details, I mean, it'll show. So if you go to ratios, you see the ROC, it'll give for period of time. 71%, 59%, 53, 50, 47. So consistently it is doing quite well.
So
Which
with
means to
this
say,
ROC, sorry.
good.
No, sorry, I was just trying to understand. So will this ROC be decided based on, I mean, will these two go hand in hand? Like, for example, now if you're telling the total profit now in that previous case, we took it as 100, right? And then if all that was not actually going to be considered as profit, but then it was going to be invested back, a portion of it as capital, then
Yep.
will that also get deducted before we come up with the ROE, or that will just be based on the,
No.
overall
See, ROA is first. ROA is the top part.
yeah,
From that, whatever returns that you are getting, how much of that is getting into the
capital?
company again?
Okay, so that is not going to, it's not going to be determined based on what is getting invested back. That's not going to really impact that
Maybe
calculation.
for next year, your ROE will depend upon this year ROC. You get it, right? So this year you are trying to
Yeah.
invest more in the company, so that in future it will be good. So you're trying to be very proactive. You're making sure that year over year you're also making your companies, you're kind of
Uh-huh.
expanding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're taking care of the growth. So that's what this thing denotes.
Okay, but it doesn't really influence that calculation of the ROE. So that is based on whatever profit, that is a standard thing. And then the
Correct,
ROC, based on that, we will just think of reinvesting. Okay.
correct. Okay. All right. So I think that was on the ratios part. Okay. Just make sure while you're doing filtering and when you're looking out for companies, always look for companies whose return on equity and return on ROCE year over year, at least for the last 5 years, it is 20% or more. So these kind of filters, and when you start looking at these things, right, automatically your screening criterias, or the way in which you are looking at the company, that entire perspective changes. So you'll be able to shortlist many of those donkeys away from the horses. Okay. So the next one is probably, I'll stop at this one. The remaining five, I'll kind of take it up later. So the last part, which is the most important, is the valuation. Again, this goes back to the question which Priya had about is this too expensive, or can I still buy this? Did I already miss the bus, or can I still go ahead and invest in this company? So that is what is valuation. And valuation, you have already, we have learned about this. This is your PE. What does PE stand for? PE is price to equity. And this E is nothing but earning per share, EPS here. Earning per share, how do we get it? It is total profit of the company divided by the total number of shareholders. So that gives us earning per share, and 32.7 divided by current market price, which is 3004, will give you 92.2, which means to say that how much times the earning per share are we ready to pay to buy this stock at today's price basically. So Asian Paint, it is demanding a premium of close to 92 times its earning per share. So 32 into 92 will give you 3004. 32.7 into 92.2, somewhere around this. Okay, some decimal thing, but current price is this. So the question that we need to ask ourselves is, are we going to go and buy Asian Paints at this price, or are we going to go and wait for Paints to come, somewhere close to this EPS range? So that is a decision that we need to ask ourselves and take a call on ourselves. Now, if I were to ask this question to myself, I know maybe Asian Paints will never ever come down to, let's say, even 10 times. Would this Asian Paints come to 300 rupees or 320 rupees? Probably not. So depending on all the data that we saw, is Asian Paints going to still grow? Answer is most likely yes. So that's the decision that we have to take based on looking at this. And one more, this will help you is just come down to the graph here below in Screener and click on this tab called PE ratio. So it will tell you this is the PE ratio, that is PE, whatever right now it is 92.2, right? We just saw that. Or it is showing as of sorry.
Sorry, it was something else.
Okay.
I was not on mute.
Okay. Yeah, so this basically shows how is the PE for this company, how this has grown over a period of time. Okay. So is this going to go down from here? Very difficult to say, but chances looks like it might not, because this is directly proportional to this, the growth of this price. So at peak, the PE was somewhere at 117 rupees. So from there it has come down.
And that was during that COVID thing, right?
No, so okay, so this
And
one, it's very interesting. What is EPS?
earning per share.
This is the profit, correct? Profit of company divided by your total number of shareholders. So that is earnings of the company, total number of shareholders, correct? So after every quarter, what will happen is the earnings would change, correct? Obviously, the total number of shareholders would more or less be constant. It will not change overnight, because if I'm selling something, then I'll be able to sell only when I have a buyer, correct? or if I have to buy something, I'll be able to buy only when there is a seller. So the total number of shares would more or less be constant, just that the value or the earnings for that company would change quarter over quarter. And during that time, the EPS would change as well. So that's where the PE also would change, or it will come up or it will go down. So that's how it is. It is directly related to that. Okay, so these are certain parameters that you have to keep a watch out and before you shortlist any companies. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions that you guys
Yeah,
have?
I don't know. I mean, I understand that Asian Paints here, you mentioned many points where we are saying it is good, but from what we are seeing there, it is like we are paying about 92 percentage of 92% times the
Earning per share.
yeah. But
Yeah.
then which are the factors? So you said to consider it on a holistic basis, right? Not just one individual parameter. So if you look at
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. Of course. I mean, see, just like us, now we know we are looking at these parameters. Now we know why we have to look at Asian Paints.
yeah.
Consistently for the last 10, 11, 12 years, it has been constantly giving us growth. It
Yeah.
has been constantly giving us profit. And almost every 2.5 years, it has been doubling, right? And even during bad times, instead of 2.5, it will take 3.5 years to double. Now, there will be all this institutional investors, like could be both foreign as well as domestic. So obviously, they would also be much more smarter than us, probably like 100 times more smarter than us. They'll be using all their best, chartered accountants and all those big players to evaluate this company, and obviously they would want to invest this. So that's where the demand and the premium for such companies are quite high. So they know even if it is high, there will be people to buy these things.
Okay.
Now, if we have a company whose stock price to earning is 92 times this earning per share, and we see that this year over year we don't see too much of a growth, or the profit is not there, do you think we'll even go and buy it? We will not.
Yeah.
So that's where these are the decisions that how much risk that an individual can take. It's up to them to assess based on these parameters and take a call whether uh, do you want to go with something which is time tested. It has proven its worth over the last 20-25 years, and year over year it is going. So maybe I'll pay some premium and buy the share now, or take a risk and go and buy some company which is having a less PE. There are companies where you'll be able to get at 10 PE or even 9 PE. Uh, but such companies, would it probably give you good returns? Maybe yes, maybe no. If it gives, then we are really lucky. We are good. If not, then it's a learning, right? So that's where these kind of studies would help us to identify if you are able to get a valuation like that, which is at 10x or 15x or even 30x, 30 times the multiple, with all these things correct, then you can definitely study those companies and probably think about buying such companies.
So when you're saying 10x or 30x, you mean if the ROE or the ROC is
No. I'm saying about this. When I say 30x is this. Here it is 90x, right? 92x.
oh, okay. P.
Yeah, this is one. EPS, earning per share, is one. For each share, earning is 32.7. So if the stock price was 32.7, then stock PE will be 1.
Yeah.
So now it is 92.2 times. So that's why I say 92.2x 32.7. That's what.
Okay.
So maybe next time what I will do is we will try to look at sorry, some of the companies in these two sections, and how do we look for some companies whose these things are also good and valuation is also good.
Okay.
So now would Asian Paints become 30,000, 40,000? We do not know. We know for sure that this company has given us this historic returns of almost double every 2 years, 3 years. How long it will go? We have to just invest and wait and watch. Now, what we have to start also looking for is some companies like how Asian Paint was in 2005 at 30 rupees, 40 rupees. How do we look for such companies now, which can give us 20, 30 times in the next 20, 30 years? So those are these ones: fast growth and certain small cap and risky pocket. But we will try to invest less. If it clicks, good. If it doesn't, not a problem. We'll get stability from such companies here. Okay. All right. So with that, I think, see, I would suggest that, I mean, don't just leave and wait for, our next session, but just go and do some groundwork and some more study around, what are these things: top line, bottom line, uh, operating profit margin. So you'll be able to get more insights and details, so that when you try to short, because more and more you practice, that's where you'll get better at this.
Yeah,
Okay.
just one thing, maybe if you can spend a minute around and like if, say for example, just if I have to just pick up one company and then look at all these factors which are the parameters which you're mentioning, right? And then come up with at least analyze, I mean, those different factors. How do I go and, figure out those one or two names?
Okay. So what I'll do is I will give you a few companies where you can go and do this. Check for a company called Deepak Nitrites.
Okay.
NITRITES. Deepak
Typing
Nitrites.
it in the
Then,
chat.
sorry.
No. I was asking, are you typing it in the chat?
Yeah, I'm
So that.
typing in the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
Laurus Labs, and then there is a company
Mentioned
called
some FIAM Industries last time.
Sorry.
You mentioned FIAM Industries, I think, last time.
Yeah. FIAM Industries. So those are, uh, the ones like that rocket thing, 10% ka thing,
Okay.
which would give it. Astral Pipes. And then Infobin Technologies or Infobin. Just look out for these companies. Just do some, groundwork. So far, whatever we did for Asian Paints, just go and do the same thing for some of these companies and create your own checklist or maybe your notes about these companies. Okay.
Thank you.
And also one more last, ONGC. Okay, so that next time when we start, we'll start with these companies. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Got some homework. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope this was helpful and was giving you some good information. I'm trying to keep it quite simple. I'm not getting into too much of details. So this is like a basic overview. I mean, these are something very fundamental. If we do it, at least we'll not go behind some bad company. We'll be able to bet on some really good companies which can give us some good results. Okay. So if you're, let's say, shortlisting about 10 companies, maybe 6 to 8 companies would not let you down. The other two, probably other 2 or 3 might go slightly down, but it will not take you so down that your principal will be wiped out. No. So with these things, that is our max guarantee that we can give. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Savannah.
All right, Sagar, Preeti, Priya, if you guys have any questions, just ping me or anything. Again, I don't know all the details, but I can also learn and get back to you guys. Okay.
Sure.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.